AITA for saying my brother is untalented and should quit? Hey everyone, 25M, need some outside perspective because my family is driving me up the wall, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm the bad guy here. So, AITA for telling my brother, 23M, he's untalented and should quit his author career and get a real job? I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out, there's a lot of context here, and I'm kinda losing my mind. This is gonna be long because I need to vent and explain everything, so bear with me. For context, my brother, let's call him Jake, has always been a bit of a mess. Growing up, we were close, but he was the wild one. I'm the older sibling, so I guess I always felt like I had to look out for him. He'd get into trouble skipping school, hanging with the wrong crowd, petty stuff like shoplifting or sneaking out. Our parents were always like, "Oh, Jake's just finding himself," and I'd roll my eyes but let it go. I mean, we live in a smallish town, and there wasn't much to do, so I got it. I wasn't perfect either, got grounded a few times for dumb stuff like staying out too late, but I graduated high school, got a decent job at a hardware store, and I've been saving up to maybe move out one day. Jake, though? He just drifted. Fast forward to when he was 19. He met this girl, Sarah, and they got married super quick. Like, whirlwind romance, courthouse wedding, the whole deal. I barely got to know her because it all happened so fast. She seemed nice enough, I guess, quiet, kinda shy, worked at a diner back then. I think she still lives with her grandma now, but I'm not 100% sure because we don't talk much. Anyway, they were married for like a year and a half when Jake got arrested. I'm not gonna dox my family, so I'll just say it was a non-violent charge, something dumb but serious enough to land him in jail for 2 years. It was a rough time. Mom cried a lot, Dad got quiet, and I was just mad. Mad that he'd screwed up his life, mad that I had to pick up the slack at home, mad that our family name got dragged through the mud in our small community. People would give me these pitying looks at work, like, "Oh, you're Jake's brother, sorry." It sucked. While he was in prison, Jake wrote a book. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured it was just a way to pass the time, you know? Like how some guys draw or work out or whatever. He'd send us letters talking about it, saying he was pouring his soul into this project. Mom and Dad were all proud, like, "Look at our boy, being creative." I just nod and smile because, okay, cool, he's got a hobby. When he let me read some pages he mailed home, I was, well, shocked. Not in a good way. Guys, I'm not exaggerating, this book was bad. Like, the worst thing I've ever read. No grammar, no punctuation, no plot. Dialogue was just mashed together with no spaces or quotation marks, so you couldn't even tell who was talking. Sentences would just stop halfway and jump to something else. It wasn't even artsy or experimental, it was just a mess. I've read fanfiction online, yeah, even the cheesy gay romance stuff, and it was miles better than this. At least those had a story. I didn't say anything at the time because, whatever, he was in jail, and I didn't want to kick him while he was down. Fast forward to a month ago, Jake got out. We were all so relieved. Mom cooked his favorite lasagna, Dad hugged him for like 5 minutes straight, and I was genuinely happy to have him back. We all lived together, me, Jake, Mom, and Dad, in this cramped 3-bedroom house we've had forever. Sarah doesn't live with us, I think she's still at her grandma's, but I'm fuzzy on that. Anyway, I figured Jake would take a week or 2 to settle in, then start looking for a job. He's 23, he's got a wife, and oh, yeah, this is a big one, Sarah's pregnant. They're expecting a baby in a few months. I don't know the exact details of how that happened, apparently our state allows conjugal visits, and I guess that's when, well, you get it. I'm not asking for the play-by-play of my brother's sex life, so I just assumed that's the story. Either that or it's not his kid, which, would make things real awkward in a few months. But I'm hoping that's not the case. Here's where things get messy. Instead of looking for a job, Jake announces he's gonna be a full-time author. Like, this isn't a draft he's working on, this book is published. Self-published, I guess, online somewhere. He won't tell me the title or where to find it, probably because he knows I'd rip it apart. But he's dead serious about this. He spends all day in his room, typing away on this old laptop Dad got him, talking about my next novel and building my brand. Mom and Dad are all in, encouraging him like, follow your dreams, honey, and we're so proud of you. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, what? He's been out for a month, has a baby on the way, and he's not even looking for a job. Not even part-time, not even gig stuff, nothing. I get that being an ex-con makes it harder, jobs aren't exactly lining up for felons. But you'd think he'd at least try, right? Fill out applications, hit up temp agencies, anything? So, last week, I kinda lost it. We were all at the dinner table, Mom made spaghetti, and we're just chatting when Jake starts going on about how he's gonna be the next big thing, like Stephen King or whatever. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Like, a loud, obnoxious laugh, and I could see his face drop. I know this sounds bad, but I just couldn't hold it in. He got all defensive, asking what was so funny, and I just let loose. I told him his book was awful, that I've read better fanfiction, that he's got no talent for this, and that he's a broke loser who needs a real job. I said I could write better than him, and I'm not even a writer. It turned into this 10-minute back and forth where he's yelling that I don't get his vision, and I'm yelling that he's delusional and needs to grow up, especially with a kid coming. Mom and Dad were trying to calm us down, but I was too heated. I think I even said something like, "You're gonna be a deadbeat dad if you keep this up." Which, yeah, was harsh. I'll admit that. Afterward, it was a mess. Jake stormed off to his room, Mom was crying, and Dad pulled me aside and chewed me out. He said I was disrespectful, that Jake's an adult who can make his own choices, and that family's supposed to lift each other up, not tear each other down. Mom piled on, saying I've always been judgmental, not just with Jake, but with everyone. They brought up how I never seemed to support the family, like how I didn't go to Mom's book club thing last year because I thought it was lame, or how I rolled my eyes when Dad tried to get us into his fishing hobby. They're making me apologize to Jake tomorrow, and I'm dreading it. The house has been awful since then, Jake won't even look at me, Mom's giving me the silent treatment, and Dad just sighs every time I walk by. It's tense, and I hate it. I'll be real, I don't care that he wants to write. Like, yeah, I think the book's garbage, but if he wants to mess around with it as a hobby, fine. Whatever. My issue is the job thing. He's not even trying. He's got a wife, a baby on the way, and he's just sitting there, dreaming about being a famous author while the rest of us are still paying for everything. I work 40 hours a week at the hardware store, and yeah, it's not glamorous, but I'm pulling my weight. Mom and Dad aren't rich, they're both retired, living off savings and a small pension. How's Jake gonna contribute? How's he gonna support Sarah and the kid? I'm worried, okay? I don't want him to crash and burn, and I don't want Mom and Dad to have to bail him out forever. Being an ex-con already makes life hard, why is he making it harder? But now I'm second-guessing myself. Maybe I was too mean. I didn't have to laugh in his face or call him a loser. I could have just said, hey, maybe focus on a job and write on the side, instead of going off like that. I've always been kinda blunt, Mom's called me judgmental before, and I guess I can see it. Like, I get annoyed when people make dumb choices, and I don't always hide it. But they're acting like I'm the villain here, like I'm the unsupportive jerk who never backs the family. That stings, because I feel like I'm the only one being realistic. Jake's not a kid anymore, he's 23, married, about to be a dad. Shouldn't he have some kind of plan that isn't I'm gonna be a best-selling?